All right, so this podcast has been a long time coming. I began working on this, but at the same time, I finished up school and everything. So hopefully, I'll be getting more content to you all guys that actually enjoy this stuff. But today, I'm just gonna do kind of a part one here, and this will be mainly focused on the basketball side of things. So I have over here on the left what the next episode will be about. But on the right is what this episode is going to be about. So the overall um, thing that's going to be coming for this is the experience problem in professional sports today, and I'm basically going to talk about why I think a lot of these professional leagues are dropping the ball in terms of experience. All right, is this a problem or are we making it up? So these were the main questions I had, um, and I felt like I knew the answer to. Uh, Professional versus college experience will be a big topic of today. As soon as you can or stay and develop, this will be tomorrow's. Are players drafted for non-stats reasons, either higher or lower, playing closer to average for their draft position? So this is something I thought guys like um, that are drafted because of their things like body. You see it a lot with quarterbacks in the NFL, and then you see it a lot with wing defenders, 3 and D guys, where you draft them more because of their physical tools than their game tools. I want to look into those guys. We're going to be doing that probably last because it's a little bit harder to find the stats of who's drafted because of their body and who's drafted because of their skills. That's just something that um I just personally don't necessarily buy into whenever I'm doing my fantasy drafts in football. I make this a really important thing. And whenever I'm just like choosing who I should talk about with my friends and say should be good, not a fan at all of this. It's about the body. Well, he's 6'6". Anthony Richardson, great example if y'all watch football. But a good example for basketball is I think his last name's Cedric, the guy from Washington State. Carter, sorry, I think his last name's Carter or his first name's Carter. Went to the San Antonio Spurs from Washington State, and what they say about him is that no, Arizona, from Arizona. I'm getting my guys confused. The Washington State guy was the one drafted by the Grizzlies for young. This guy, Carter Bryant, is the guy who was drafted to the Spurs because he was a bench player at Arizona, but they said because of his size and everything that he was looking really good. And then our players with better experience ending up as superstars more often. Better experience meaning top D1 level. We're going to look into that another day of the different levels of the NBA. This one's mainly going to be focused on the professional versus college experience. How far apart are the levels? I want to look at, what makes a lot of these group of five or D2 guys kind of pop, but they don't pop as superstars necessarily, but they'll pop as a lot. They'll be more likely, I feel like, to get a role of that, go do it all, dirty work type of guy. And then which way are we going for all of these will be a main factor of what does the future hold for each of these. So first of all, we're gonna have to define good versus bad experience. This will kind of be an overlapping thing. So good experience is NBA or high D1 basketball. Complicated pro level system is something in football and basketball they talk about. You want a guy that plays like the pros. You don't want him to be in a system that was too easy or he got the ball too much. High level teammates, I think, helped. If you're looking to them and you're looking at their teammates, then you're probably also going to look at that player. And better teammates mean better counting stats because you're going to be able to do things like get assists and stuff like that. Name recognition of where you're going and your own name recognition. Brand is a big deal. Low fireability. I think this is what plays into a lot of this is if the number one pick from Duke doesn't pan out, you're not going to be fired because it can be the number one player from Duke's fault, not necessarily yours. Why, if you decide to draft the number one guy from Slovenia first overall, then you can be fired for looking too dumb. And I think that's true a lot of times, or looking like you're going too high and everything from the media's eyes. Um, Lots of game tape is something that, I go back and forth. Lots of accessible game tape, I'd say, that's being aired, not necessarily on anything, but let's say TV time. That's a better way to probably put that one. And then huge moments and pressure for basketball. This is huge. They love guys that made big plays in March Madness, and they just love that. And a lot of times those guys do pan out. I think it's Stephen Curry automatically. Stephen Curry just he really panned out, and he really did a lot when he was at Davidson. Bad, we see low D1, overseas, JUCO, D2, D3, all this stuff that's kind of a step below. And overseas is definitely in there, which is the main one we're going to focus on today. Easy, simplified, or special system for the NFL. This is huge. You think of a guy like Bo Nix, um, or anyone that comes out of an offense that's they say is really easy. I've heard it about Ole Miss, most of the Lincoln Riley guys. You say, well, is it really them or is it their system that's helping them a lot here? Carry potential. Um, you are only putting up all these points because you have no one else to put up these points, right? Anyone could put up 100 points in D2. Less game tape that's accessible again, TV, small moments. They don't really have. They don't know what you're gonna play like when you have a crazy amount of fans. So professional versus college experience. How important is this to scouts versus how important it is to success? That I decided to put Luka Doncic there for a reason because I feel like he kind of started a wave, and I'll talk about a little bit how I think this does come in waves of who's good at the time in terms of how we view overseas potential. So this is what I've seen before in terms of guys that played overseas, but this is kind of before I was born in 2005 for sure. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, two teammates that stick out. Manu played in Italy, four-time NBA champ, two-time All-Star, 2008 Six Man of the Year, Hall of Famer. Tony Parker is now a Hall of Famer. I don't know why I didn't put that. He played in France beforehand. Four-time NBA champion, 2007 Finals MVP, six-time All-Star. Tony Parker. Is that real, Chad? Was he really the Finals MVP? I thought that was Dirk. I mean, not Dirk. I thought that was Georgetown power forward Tim Duncan. Oh my goodness. Dirk Nowitzki. I guess the Bucks traded the piece of Mavs. I actually didn't know that. Played in Germany. NBA champion. 14-time All-Star. Hall of Famer for sure. 2007 MVP. We'll get to another MVP, a few more MVPs later on, as y'all know. NBA champion is huge there. That was an impressive run by Dirk Nowitzki. Pau Gasol. We can put Mark Gasol in there. I just want to give both kind of a shout out. But I don't know if Mark Gasol, his year was close enough to that. 2003 post LeBron era. These guys are all kind of pre LeBron. Um, he played in Spain. Two-time NBA champ, six-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year 2002. Him and his brother really took the league by storm. The Jazz, AK-47 from Moscow, Russia. Three-time All-Defensive Team, 2004 All-Star, but we definitely know who he is. Mimic Okur. This is even one that's not European basketball. These were all European. I needed one that wasn't. We got one from Turkey. And he's a 2004 NBA champ, and he's a one-time All-Star. I don't really know much about his career, but he was only the 38th pick. And Louis Scola, I know something about his career. All rookie first team. He had a long NBA career. Um, Lasted quite a while. After a lot of these guys are bigs, but as we can see in the first two, they don't necessarily have to be bigs. Yet we've seen it fail too. I feel like a lot of times in our mind we think about these and we're like, wow, overseas players are really doing a number there. Like think about all these guys. Well, let's look at these guys because these are why people didn't want to draft overseas players. We have Nicolos. I'm not going to pronounce that last name. 2002 draft, fifth pick, and he's going to be to the Nuggets. He played 172 NBA games, averaged 2.9 points per game, and no longer in the league. The biggest one, Darko Milicic, 2003, second overall pick before Melo Wade Bosch. The top five of that draft was LeBron, then Darko, then Melo, Wade, Bosh. Like just the opportunity cost of a pick in the 2003 NBA draft is one of the best there ever was, and so that him being a bust really, really hurt, especially since if I remember correctly, the Pistons were coming off of an NBA championship, and you get the second overall pick. This looked to be so good in building a dynasty, and it never came because he just never panned out. Um, Yaroslav Korolev from Russia, Moscow, almost. I mean, look at this. AK's 1999, 6 years later, same club. You draft another guy. He only plays 34 NBA games with the 12th pick. That's not what you're looking for. Fran Vasquez from Spain never played in the NBA. It was a lottery pick. And that 2005 draft class for overseas guys was rough. Jan Vesely from Serbia in 2011, sixth overall pick. Highlight real athleticism. Averaged just 3.6 points per game. Just couldn't figure it out. Alexander Radovic from Cyprus, Olympia, I believe. Is that like a Southern European team? A Southern European country? I think so. It might be a Middle East country too. He played just 15 total games with the 12th pick. That 12th pick really, really was not good. 1999 though, a little bit earlier. And then Bruno Caboclo to the Raptors. Let's see there. He's famously called 2 years away from being 2 years away. 2014, 20th pick never panned out. And then there's a new wave, and we hear about these guys a lot. Nikola Jokic is a two-time MVP, should be three-time MVP, maybe should be four-time MVP in my decision. 2023 NBA champ, Finals MVP. I believe he has more than six All Stars now, and he's got to have more than three All NBA first teams by now. He's got to have so many. Um, he's from Serbia. We know. Drafted during a Talk About commercial. None of that's new. Nikola Jokic, as we'll see, he doesn't really actually help my point, but great, great player. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2013, 15th pick from Greece, two-time MVP, 2021 NBA champ, Finals MVP, DPOY, eight-time All-Star, five-time All-NBA first team. I think that's only gone up. I might have been accidentally doing my research now that I think about it because I was looking. I didn't count guys past the 2022 season, right? Because they didn't have other than Wembanyama because we already know. Um, because they didn't have enough like tape. I hope I didn't accidentally do that. Luka Doncic, he from Spain. He was the EuroLeague MVP, then became the Rookie of the Year. Still on fire. He made a finals with the Mavs, the team that drafted him before being traded to the Lakers. And he was the real deal. I feel like he changed maybe more than these other guys because he played in the EuroLeague and was so dominant there, and people still didn't draft him first, you know. And then Victor Wembanyama, first overall pick from France. He's already, just done some amazing things down in San Antonio. So just a huge, huge shout out to him. And his career looks like it's gonna be great, barring injuries. And he seems like he may start a new wave too because he could be truly generational, in my opinion. And you also have a little bit of under the radar guys. Josh Giddey, sixth pick from Australia. Uh, he's youngest with back-to-back triple doubles, but he's also just been balling at the end of that season with the Bulls. Dyson Daniels, 2022. He just Dyson Daniels was just MIP, I believe. Um, Starting guard minutes with New Orleans. He's now when he first got there, he did get starting, but he became the Great Barrier Thief when he was over in Atlanta. Duh. Is there a new wave, or is there because we still have guys like this that are busts? John Vesley, I don't remember him at all from Serbia. Wait, didn't we? Yeah, 2011. He fits. He's not posted yet. but I don't know why I put him on both. Anyway, Mario Hazonia. I remember him, 2015, fourth round pick from Spain. Really, he seemed like he was gonna be like great. He seemed fast out of the NBA by 25. Dragon Bender. I remember him being picked in that 2016 draft. These are guys I've actually watched and I know about the Suns. I think I have Dragon Bender's rookie card, and I was excited. He got prepared to Porzingis, who should be on this list. Porzingis did play overseas. Great, great insight there by me, but lacked toughness and offensive skill. He definitely lacked offensive skill. Frank the Tank Ntilikina, 2017, the Knicks. Knicks is a horrible franchise to get drafted if you're bad. From France, defense specialist, role player at best. I mean, I think Frank the Tank's still in the league. I want to say for the 76ers. I need to look it up. But Frank the Tank, he was hyped up, especially after Porzingis did so good with them. People were really hoping for a big one there. Georges Pangianis, Papa Giannis, Puppy, 2016, 13th pick with the Kings, played at Greece, surprise lottery pick, never adapted to NBA pace, played 39 games for return to Europe. This one, surprise lottery pick, is the closest I could do to Hanson Young, and that scares me a little bit. Sekou Doumbouya with the Pistons. I remember him, youngest player in the draft, raw tools, inconsistent effort and shot selection out of the NBA after 2 seasons. It's just one of those things. I think he's been in the NBA. He had some G League stint. All right. So, statistics of first rounders since 2010, 2021. So I decided to think, well, let's see if there's any difference in these statistics for um, the percentage that become NBA starters, get an All-Star selection, and longevity, which means that they play at least 7 seasons in the NBA. If you're drafting an overseas pro guy in the first round versus NCAA Power 6 guy in the first round. And I did my study from 2010 to 2021. I found that there was 266 players in the Power 6 NCAA. I included the Pac-12 because it used to be a thing, and the one that St. John's Mary's in, the big West Coast or something, West Coast Conference, I think it's called. That one that Gonzaga's in. Overseas pro leagues, there was 48 of them. 161 became NBA starters at some point, 25 plus minutes played per game in 2 plus seasons. So 60% of them, while only 33% of the overseas pros in the league get in. We're going to get into bigger numbers than this, so stick around. All star selections, 13% versus approximately 10%. Longevity, 70 to 75% to 40%. Some of these guys are right on the cusp. Now, a p-value tells us what's the probability that we can get this number based if everything was by chance. So we're saying, so let's say they both actually had equal odds and this was just complete randomness that we got these numbers. What is the probability of that? Starter rate, 0.00046. That means you're at 0.04%. So that means not very likely. Now the All-Star 52%. So over halfway, we can't say with certainty at all that players drafted from Power 6 are more likely to be All-Stars. And to me, this is the most telling number because that's what tells us, hey, we like starters. And we're going to look at starters in my mind should be more for the um, D2 guys, the group of five guys, whatever you want to call them. But I mean, those group of five guys, those Power Six guys, get drafted and they end up starting. But they're not as all stars. If you're looking for gold, if you're looking for a boomer bust prospect, you should be drafting a professional player. Which to me, great news. You want all star every time you draft. That's the ultimate goal. Not to get a nice starter, it's to get an all star. You want the best player that can lead your team. Absolute best. That's what we want. Longevity p value, so that's 0.02% chance, so that actually isn't happening. Now, how about the second round? The second round, a lot more Power 6 people get drafted in the same time frame, and then overseas pros a lot less, but starters, not a lot of these guys are starters. 7 plus years, I mean, 27% seems great to me. 20% seems great there. And then, of course, we have All Star, the one player, Nikola Jokic. So this one, um, all of the difference between all stars. So in the second round, it's saying, hey, Nikola Jokic is an anomaly. Let's not worry about him. This could still not necessarily be true. They could definitely have the exact same chance, and one's not greater than the other. 38% chance that Power Six players are more likely to be starters, and 37% longevity. But you see, these numbers got a lot bigger versus the first round. So in the second round is your time, I believe, to take a shot at one of those guys. And then now let's look at the total number of those guys that let's look at this graph. I'm gonna kind of explain this graph real quick. It shows the total number of draft picks being made for each, and I think we can kind of see that they're coming together in 2025. And I included the G League Ignite in the Power Six and the OTE in the yellow because I think they don't believe the OTE is the correct league, even though man, the Thompson twins have been amazing, and I really think that people still view the G League Ignite, not anymore, but when that first thing came out, that was the way to go. That was the way to get experience. That was the way to do everything. It was better than the Power Six. And what we need to look at here is ups and downs. It's kind of coming in waves, and it looks like it's on the rise again. And why is that? And I think a lot of this has to do with who's good at the time. Because Brandon Jennings is a player I actually want to talk about because he was pretty good around these years. Rubio, pretty good around these years. Some of these guys pop, and you see teams kind of takes a chance on them, and those guys start to pop a little less. 2018, 2019, Giannis is emerging, Luka's emerging, and then all of a sudden 2022, boom, we're back. And I think we're back on the up climb. So I think teams are kind of they do what they look around and see has worked. And right now overseas players are working and they're winning MVP at a crazy historic mark with Jokic and Giannis both leading the way there. And then the other two guys played college here in the States, but they're overseas guys too, and Joel Embiid and Shea Gilgis Alexander. So they're kind of seeing what they have here, and they're just really, 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 really going for it. And I think we'll see that kind of pick up a lot with Victor Wembanyama. And then next episode, a little preview, we're going to get into We Want Now. Why professional sports teams think they are the best at development. We're going to talk about both the NBA, especially because the NBA, this one and done culture is a lot worse than the NFL, but it's still pretty bad in the NFL, and how guys like Jane Daniels and Bo Nix really, really destroy this narrative, and maybe it's better to stay a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and record some other stuff for y'all. Please leave down in the comments if you think I should make a separate gaming channel if I ever did NCAA 26, or if you think I should just post to this channel. That's the most likely one. Also, sports cards, collecting, all of that. I'm gonna go record an episode about Hansen Young real quick and upload that. Also, thank y'all so much for watching. If you made it to the end, make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and make sure you remind people we're done with the Mr. Beast era of YouTube. We're going back to simple, baby. Simple, fun, educational, whatever you want to call it. We don't need to beat ourselves every time. We don't need to do that. Let's just focus on making videos and having fun with it instead of doing the greatest thing we can think of. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye for now.